Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Tammy. I am founder of Career Resume Consulting and creator of the Six Figure Pro online coaching program. And I want to welcome you to this third video out of 3 videos. And I want to first thank everybody for their participation so far. I really appreciate all of the comments that I've been getting, all of the questions that I've been getting. I've been answering as many of those as I can. And in our first video, we talked about how to build a functional resume, and also I introduced you to Job Search Baseball. And in the second video, we talked about myths. We busted some myths, and we talked about the 3-pronged approach, and I hope that that helped you. And also we talked about 6 reasons why people don't hire you and how to overcome those. So today we're going to talk about what it takes to win. Really the characteristics that I've found in the most successful job seekers in me doing this for the last 10 years, and how to win. We're going to be talking about the step-by-step things that you have to do in order to win the job. And we're going to start with the secret tip of the day. But first I want to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I spent 10 years climbing up the corporate ladder to be in a nice 6-figure position at a local large company here in Kansas City. And on my 10-year anniversary, I was laid off. But after spending a year looking for a position, after spending nearly 12 months looking for a position, a recruiter actually found me, and I was hired in as a marketing director for what was the largest career firm in America at the time. And it was there that I learned about personal branding and how to brand yourself like you would a can of soup. I mean, what personal branding really is. So I've been very successful. I started my own business 5 years ago, spent 5 years at the executive career firm, spent 5 years at my own business. And since then, I've been able to discern what works and what doesn't work, and really how to get people jobs, 6-figure jobs, in a number of weeks. On average, most of my clients, if they follow my system, get a position in less than 10 weeks versus the 18 to 24 month average that most 6-figure job seekers have. So let's go ahead and dive into the training. I want to share with you a secret tip of the day, and that is a Google file type search. Not a lot of people know about this, but first let me give you some context of it and tell you what it's for. If you want to follow up with a company, for instance, you're in a hiring process and you want to find out where they're at in that process, because I know that if you're looking for a position, that your timeline and sense of urgency and priority is 100% about finding a job. But their timeline, the employer's timeline, usually it's about 54th on their list of things to do, and they go about business as usual, and a lot of times they don't follow up with you in a timely manner. So how do you approach them in a way that doesn't feel like it's bugging them? So this is what you can do. You can actually do a Google file type search to find documents that might be helpful to them, so that you can send that document to the HR professional or the hiring manager. I would prefer that you send it to the decision maker in the process, and say something to the effect of, hey, I was doing some research online and I found this document. I think it would be helpful for you. So this would be for white papers or presentations from symposiums or conferences, and it allows you in Google to search for just documents, because Google actually indexes documents as well as websites. So you can look at PDFs, you can look at PowerPoint presentations, you can look at Word documents. It's really amazing what you can do. So let's go through a Google file type search. I'm going to show you exactly what to put. Exactly what to put on the Google search field. Now, I can tell you you're going to get the best result if you do this in the Google Chrome browser. The Google Chrome browser is free. You can just type in Google Chrome into a Google search field and it will bring up the page where you can download the Google Chrome browser. You're going to get better search results in Google Chrome than you will in Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, or whatever other browser you may be using. So this is what you want to put in a Google file type search. What this does is look specifically for files of a certain type. So this one is a PDF, and what you would put, for instance, if you wanted to find, if you were applying for a position with an agriculture company, you can put in quotation marks, agriculture industry trends, end quotation marks, plus sign, file type, colon, PDF. Now you might want to pause this and take a look at that and write it down, because it's very specific and you have to do it in this way in order to get the best results. So it's quotation marks, agriculture industry trends, end quotation marks, plus file type, colon, PDF. That will give you PDFs, which could be white papers, it could be really any kind of document that's out there online about agriculture industry trends. You can just put in whatever industry you're applying for, and you'll find some really good information out there. The second thing you can look for is references to the company itself in another type of file. So you can mix and match this as you like, but you can put in the company name, in quotation marks of course, then a plus sign, and there's no spaces in between here, file type, colon, and then PPT is PowerPoint. So you can look up PowerPoint presentations, and you'd be surprised what's out there as far as PowerPoint presentations. There, a lot of people, and I've even found stuff that's in a secured site. It's amazing what you can find using Google Chrome and using this Google file type search. So go ahead and write this down, take notes on this, and look up colon PPT, which is PowerPoint presentation, or you could look up colon DOC, which is Word document, or really any document out there. The three most common types are PowerPoint, PPT, PDF, which would be any PDFs out there, and then also Word documents, .doc. And you can put anything in quotations. The quotations only mean that it's looking for a character string of whatever this says. So it's looking for an exact replica of agriculture industry trends, or the company name, Hallmark, plus file type, PPT. Okay? So I hope that helps. Okay, now what I'd like to do is go through the skills that, and we're going to switch things a little bit and go to the skills that you need to win a job fast. Now, these are the things that I've found. It's a framework of thinking about what you need to have in order to be successful in a job search, particularly with a six-figure job search, but really this is any professional job search. The people that have these character traits are the ones that get the jobs the fastest. So go ahead and take notes again, and let's get started. The first character trait that I found, and this is really important, of course, is competence. So you have to know the skills. You have to know the step-by-step of how to search for a job in this job market. So competence is really important. The people that are the most competent, the people that can do internet searches the quickest, those are the ones that get the jobs the fastest, and the ones that actually learn the skills and use those skills, those are the people that get the jobs fastest. That's probably a given. You probably understand the competence piece of it. However, you may not understand that confidence is equally important. And in psychology, there's what's called a competence-confidence loop. And basically, the competence-confidence loop means that the more competent you are, the more confidence you have, and the more confidence you have, the more competent you become. So they feed off of each other. That's really important to know. What I have found is that the clients that are the most successful, they may feel down about themselves, but they don't lose confidence in their abilities. So as long as you don't lose confidence in your ability to actually do the position, actually make the sales or manage the people, then you're actually going to win faster than people who have lost confidence in their abilities. And I know that unemployment can take a toll on confidence, but if you become more competent in the area of job searching, and I know that if you're only doing it once every 5, maybe 10, maybe 25 years, you're not a professional job seeker. And even those people who have been laid off quite a bit don't really know how to look for a job. So that's one of the reasons that I'm putting this training together, so that you can open your eyes as to what the job market is really like and what it takes to win. So confidence is really important. Confidence in your abilities to do the job. All right, the next one is coaching. Now, I'm a real believer in coaching. I have a business coach myself. In fact, I've been with business coaching for the last 4 out of 5 years that I've owned my own business. I really am a hardcore believer that coaching is a really important part of continuing to get better. So whether or not you get professional assistance like career resume consulting, or perhaps you're coached by someone like a mentor who knows more about the job market, or someone like a center of influence who knows a lot of professional people, it's always good to be coached because you're always getting better. And coaches hold you accountable. And accountability is a big piece of being able to find a job quickly. Okay? And then commitment. You have to be committed. It has to be, looking for a job has to be your #1 priority. All right? Here's what I've found. The people that continue to have job seeking as their #1 priority, then they're the ones that get the job the quickest. If job seeking becomes #2, #3, #4 priority in your life, you're not going to get a job as quickly because other things take over. So you've really got to maintain commitment throughout your entire job search. If you maintain a high level of commitment, usually that corresponds to a high level of action, activity, doing things. And that's really what gets you the job the fastest. But here's what I found to be the biggest, and that's why I put it in the middle: clarity. You have to be clear on where you're going. You have to be clear on what you want to do next. Because if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, nobody's going to be able to help you find it. And so you've got to know what you want to do. You've got to know where you want to go. You need to know what type of company you want to work for. You need to be clear in what your wishes are, what your dreams are, and what's a good fit for you. If you're not clear on that, if you don't know where you're going to go next, then you can have coaching, you can have competence or confidence, but if you don't have clarity, you really are missing the boat. You don't have anything. And so I wanted to share these with you today because I have found that these 5 things: competence, confidence, coaching, commitment, and clarity, they get, if you do all of those, then if you possess all of those, you get the job the quickest. Okay? All right. I hope that helps. Now let's get into the step-by-step things that you have to have in order to win the job. So those things were skills, really soft skills that you have to have. And then these are the step-by-step pieces of what you've got to have in order to, this is the how, right? The other is the what, this is the how. So the first thing that you need to have is a rock star resume. This is your marketing piece. This is the crux of everything because it gets you your first phone call, right? If you don't have a rock star resume, you're not going to get noticed. And by rock star, I just mean it's got quantifiable achievements. It's very clear in what your unique selling proposition is and your value proposition to an employer. It is a marketing document, and it's designed specifically to get you that first phone call. A resume is not designed to get you a job. It is there to give you your first phone call, or many phone calls actually. So the first thing you need is a great resume. If you don't have a resume, you're dead in the water. The second thing you need to have is a robust LinkedIn profile. That's really important. Now, let me give you a tip on how to get a robust LinkedIn profile. What you can do is, first of all, we talked about clarity, about how you have to be clear in what you want to do next. So once you figure out what you want to do when you grow up, what you can do is go to that advanced people search in LinkedIn that I talked about, and you can actually put in keywords what you're wanting to do. Not in the job title, but in the keywords. Now you can look in job title if you want to, but you get more expansive search results if you put it in keywords in the advanced people search on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, advanced people search, put in the job title of what you're looking for and see who comes up. So you're going to have your first level connections, your second level connections, your third level connections, and then you're going to have strangers. So I want you to look at the profiles of the strangers that come up at the top of the list, because those strangers are also coming up at the top of the list of recruiters and employers that are looking for people on LinkedIn. Now, the latest stats that I have on LinkedIn is back from 2011, and that was 19% of employers and recruiters use LinkedIn to find their people, their next people, exclusively. So this is really important. I probably would guesstimate that LinkedIn is now 25% of what employers and recruiters use to find their next hires. And so if you go out and look at who's rising to the top, who's the cream of the crop on LinkedIn profiles, take a look at their profile, see what they say, look at the keywords that they have, and then take the stuff that fits you and put it in your profile. So yeah, you're kind of swiping somebody else's, but you're swiping the keywords that are coming up front, coming up top to that search for an operations leader or a sales manager or a marketing professional. So you're looking at the best LinkedIn profiles and copying those things that apply to you. If it doesn't apply to you, don't put it down. But you can use the words that are getting the LinkedIn searches to come up, okay? So let's go to number 3. We talked about this before. It's finding the right people in the right companies. You have to be able to know how to find the right people and how to find the right companies, the lists of companies that meet your search criteria, and also the people. So that's probably where you're going to spend most of your time in your job search, is finding the right people with the right companies and sending your resume to them. Networking effectively to expand your reach. That's number 4. So you have to be able to network. You have to be able to reach out to people that you don't know in a way that doesn't feel weird or doesn't make them suspicious. You have to be able to use your existing network most effectively, and you have to be able to reach out to centers of influence. Those are people who know a lot of people. Now, those could be bloggers in your area. Usually they're around the location that you want to get into. So for instance, if you want to change locations, if you're somewhere else and you want to move to a certain city, let's say you're in Kansas City, you want to move to Chicago. What you're going to be doing is looking in Chicago for bloggers, perhaps, in the industry that you're wanting to get into, and then find those bloggers, contact them. Usually bloggers or people who publish things are very likely to talk with you at length about what they know. And so you can get the scoop on the industry, you can get the scoop on job seeking, whatever it is that you need to do, you can find it through job club leaders or professional industry association leaders. Those are centers of influence, or just people that know a lot of professional people. And that could be bankers, your dentist, your doctor, your tax preparer. Those people know a lot of professional people. So you probably know a lot of centers of influence already. You just need to reach out to them and let them know what you're looking for. Okay? All right, interview like an expert. That's number 5. You have to be able to interview like an expert. Here's what I found. Last year and a half, 2 years, when I brand someone as an expert with a certain amount of expertise in something, and everybody is an expert in something, and the definition of expert is that you know more than the person sitting across from you. And so if you know more than the average bear about sales process, then you can be a sales process expert, or at least have sales process expertise. But people who have expertise, people who are considered experts, even if they're self-proclaimed experts, get hired quicker and they get a higher pay in their initial offering, and it's easier to negotiate because people will pay more for experts. So if you interview like an expert, then you're actually going to win the job faster, and you're going to get paid more. All right, number 6 is the final step in looking for a position, and that is negotiating the best package for you. Now, what does that mean? It means if you really want a lot of vacation, vacation is the easiest thing to negotiate. You don't have to negotiate base salary, it could be vacation. But you could also negotiate a signing bonus. That's actually more popular now than it was 5 years ago. And usually it's because signing bonuses come out of a different budget than annual compensation. And they're more likely to give you a signing bonus than they are to raise your annual compensation. One of the tricks that I found to be very successful in job seeking, especially 6-figure job seeking, is to ask for a signing bonus, a one-time signing bonus. Let's say it's $5,000. Let's say it's $10,000. This actually is pretty common. So a one-time signing bonus, but you always use percentages. You don't use dollar amounts. So you say, I'd like an 11% bonus, a signing bonus. Would you consider 11% signing bonus? And then you say, what if we were to make some performance targets for the first 12 months? And if I reach those performance targets, and you can figure out what those are, and actually you can figure them out 90 days after you start. But if you've got performance bonuses that are tied to how you can affect the bottom line of that company, if you're able to affect the bottom line of the company in the way that you think that you'll be able to, you can make that signing bonus be part of the annual compensation starting that next year. So really, if it's putting the proof on you, because you've got to be able to perform, but what it allows you to do is get maybe a one-time signing bonus of $10,000 and then add that $10,000 to your annual compensation if you make those performance targets. So that's just one technique that you can do when negotiating your performance. So if you like what you see here, if you like these 6 steps, I've got some continuing education that I'm putting together, and that's that 6-Figure Pro training, and it's an online coaching program that dives very deep into each of these subjects. So right now, what I'd like to do is have a little story time with Tammy and go over some frequently asked questions that I promised you. And so let's head over to the table and talk about the FAQs that I receive, the top 10 frequently asked questions that I get. All right, here we are with Story Time with Tammy, and thanks for joining me. What I'd like to go over today is some of the frequently asked questions that I get and the answers that I have to those questions. Top 10, right? So hopefully this won't take incredibly long and you don't have to stay here for 50 minutes, but we'll see. I'm a talker. So let's dive into the very first one. The first question that I get pretty frequently is, do I really need a great LinkedIn profile? Because there are some industries like manufacturing, construction, that most people are not on LinkedIn. But I can tell you that this is getting to be more and more important. And like I said before, over 20% of employers and recruiters now use LinkedIn as their main form of looking for people, exclusive form of looking for people. So LinkedIn is very key. Also, you have to think about the fact that LinkedIn is really what we call pull marketing instead of push marketing. So push marketing is sending your resume out hard copy to the companies that would meet your search criteria, or sending a hard copy resume out to companies that are doing well and are growing, and not just not creating jobs just because of attrition or people leaving, but actually creating new jobs. But LinkedIn is becoming more and more a necessity, and I talked about earlier of what you can do in order to get a great LinkedIn profile. You can also contact me and I can give you examples of some of my clients. I'd be very happy to do that because they have great LinkedIn profiles as well. All right, so here's another one. The next one, what do employers want to know in an interview? I get this a lot, and most people, when they're interviewing, try to guess what an employer is wanting to hear, and that is the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. Number one, you can't memorize the top 206 questions and what the answers should be to those questions, and you really can't second guess what they want to hear. And if you do and try to give them the answer that you think they want to hear, what you're going to end up with is your square peg into their round hole, and you're going to get a job that is not a good fit for you. So don't tell them what you think they want to hear. Tell them the truth, even when it comes to your weaknesses. You have to be transparent with everything. What I've done is really distilled down what an employer wants to know to 5 questions. So I want to share those 5 questions with you. The first thing they want to know is, why are you here? In other words, why are you sitting in front of me? Why did you send me your resume? Why did you apply for this job? What makes you interested in this position? What makes you interested in our company? And what makes you excited about the industry? And you really have to be able to answer those very specifically. And you do that by researching the companies. Secondly, what can you do for us? And that's based upon what you've done in the past for your other employers. And so you want to be able to tell specific, compelling stories about what you've done and how you've affected the bottom line of the companies that you've worked for. Thirdly, are you going to fit in here? And usually that is the face-to-face interview. They want to see you face-to-face. They want to know if you're going to fit in with their values and their culture. And it's okay to explain and articulate your values and what you believe to be important, what your guiding principles are. So will you fit in is the third question. The fourth question is, how are you different from everybody else that we may have talked with? And that really gets down to your brand. If you'll remember in the first video that I sent you, your brand is the 3 bullet points on your resume. And that really comes down to how you're different than everybody else and what makes you uniquely qualified for the position that you're applying for. You really want to create distinction between you and other people. And it all comes down to a very simple marketing message of the 3 bullet points on your resume. Think of those as talking points if you're in a political campaign. And then finally, the 5th question is, how much will you cost us? That's something that's in every employer's mind, even in the beginning. And oftentimes you'll get that question, so how much are you going to cost us? You'll get that question on the phone even before they bring you into a face-to-face. All right? And we'll talk about that next. So let's go into the next question, which is, how do I handle the salary questions? How much are you going to cost us? So probably the biggest tip that I can give you here is to avoid premature compensation discussions. In other words, don't talk money until they've offered you the position. All right? And let me give you some examples of what you can say if they say, so how much are you going to cost us? What are your salary expectations? Well, really, fit is the most important thing to me, but I'd prefer to talk money if once I know more about the position. And I really can't talk about compensation until I know all the job responsibilities of the position. So does this position have direct reports? Does this position have budget authority? What are your expectations for the position? So really bring it back to them to answer the questions on that. And so you can deflect it by asking that question. You can also say that I'm sure that, or maybe you could phrase it as, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have some idea of what you could pay. Maybe if you and I both feel that I'm right for the position, then we can talk money. I feel more comfortable talking about compensation after you and I are both in agreement that I'm the right person for this position. I'm sure we won't have a problem when it comes to compensation. So those are a couple of ways that you can deflect it. If they ask you, what are you making? You can always use the apples to oranges comparison. So basically you say, well, what I'm making right now is probably an apples to oranges comparison between what I would expect to make in the position that you have, because it's different job responsibilities. And so you can say it that way. And then if they push you, you can always ask them to give a range. Well, do you have a range of what you'd like to pay for this position? And then whatever they say, you can go ahead and say, I'm sure we won't have a problem when it comes to compensation. So I've seen that range that they give absolutely blown apart once they've determined that you're the person that they want to have in the position. Once they've determined that and they've offered you the job, man, you've got so much more leverage than you have at the beginning of the conversation. So avoid the premature money talks and really handle that salary question after they've offered you the job. You've got a lot more leverage that way. All right. So here's one that I get pretty frequently. What is the hidden job market? Exactly what I've heard of this hidden job market, but exactly what is that? It's really not any big secret, although getting to it can be kind of a big secret. The hidden job market is really usually small to mid-sized companies who don't have a large HR staff and therefore really can't afford the time that it takes to post something publicly and go through hundreds, if not over 1,000 resumes in order to get to the right candidates. And so instead, what they do is much more effective and informal. What they do is simply ask their friends, their family, colleagues in the industry, people that they work with, hey, I need an accounting manager. Do you happen to know somebody who's looking for an accounting manager position that I could bring in and talk to? And that's really what the hidden job market is, are word of mouth positions. And honestly, these days, 75 to 85% of six-figure positions are in this hidden job market where it's not publicly posted, it's not on their website, it's not on Career Builder or even the ladders, it's just word of mouth. So the way to tap that hidden job market is to proactively send your resume to the companies that you would want to work for. Believe it or not, you get a better response rate when you proactively send your resume to companies that you would want to work for versus applying for posted positions online, especially when you're talking about a six-figure position. It's just much more effective to send your resume out proactively. Hard copy, that's important, hard copy, not email. It will sit on somebody's desk for a long time. I have seen it over and over and over again, where people get calls 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks later after they've sent a resume because it stayed on somebody's desk for 5 weeks, versus going in an inbox and getting deleted or not even looked at and never getting responded to. So always send it hard copy. All right, next one. How do I find the right people to send my resume to? We covered that a little bit before, and I really suggest looking online at online databases. There are a lot of free online databases that are out there. Most of them get their information from Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is a New York firm that is really the clearinghouse for all business data out there. And you can access the Dun & Bradstreet $1 Million Database usually from your library website. And so get a library card, hunt down your library card, use the library card number to access that from home, and you can get lists of companies that would meet your search criteria. Right now, what I've found is that the companies that are hiring most often are anywhere from 10 to 50 million in annual revenue, which is very small. And even in the Kansas City area, did you know that there are over 70,000 companies, 70,000 companies in the Kansas City area? Now, most of those are very small, and but there are thousands of companies in that $10 to $50 million range that are doing quite well in this economy and are growing. And those are the companies that are doing most of the hiring, I've found. All right. How do I network if I don't know anyone? So let's talk a little bit. I promised you that we would talk about this a little bit as far as informational interviewing. And I have a document on my website, careerresumeconsulting.com, that you can download. It's a PDF, and it's an informational interviewing PDF. And it gives you a step-by-step process of how to conduct an informational interview. But basically, what you want to do is find someone within a target company that you want to reach, and what I recommend is reaching out to the sales force, believe it or not. The individual contributing salespeople in that company usually will talk your ear off. And if you just give them a call and say, you know, I was researching your company and I realized that if I'm going to find out about more about your company and more about your industry, that you're the person I need to talk to. Do you have about 10 minutes that I can ask some questions, maybe 3 or 4 questions, and then just find out more about their industry, find out more about their company, ask some very general questions. And in that PDF that I've got on my website, there are general questions that you can ask. But the last question is most important, and that is, who do you know that I should be talking with? That's your most important question, because once you explain who you are, what you're looking for, what your expertise is, how to articulate that, then if you know the magical question of who do you know that I should be talking to, you're golden, because you can take that information, and sometimes it's not even somebody within that company. Sometimes it's a competitor that's growing, and they'll say, well, we're not hiring, but I do know that there's another company across the street that is. So go to my website, careerresumeconsulting.com, and get that PDF. All right, we are flying through these, aren't we? Okay, how do I find a job that pays me what I'm worth? That's the key question, isn't it? What I have found is that you can oftentimes get a position that pays you what you're worth easier than you can get a position that you're overqualified for. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see job seekers make, especially at a higher level or a senior level. They feel like they have to dumb down their resume, dumb down their experience, and take something that's beneath them, where it's actually pretty hard to get a position that you're overqualified for, because there are legitimate reasons why an employer doesn't want to hire somebody who's overqualified, because in 6 months you're going to be bored out of your skull and you're going to look for another position. And it's not paying you what you're worth, and they know it, and they don't want to hire anybody that's overqualified. So what I've found is if you can articulate your expertise, if you can articulate what it is that you do better than anybody else, and you're in front of a company, you're in front of a hiring manager that wants what you have to offer, then it's going to be a good fit. They'll pay you what you're worth because you're an expert, and you're going to be satisfied in your job, and you're going to be excited about getting up in the morning and going to work. So become an expert. That's my advice for being paid what you're worth. Next, how do I overcome my liabilities like long-term unemployment, age, whether you be possibly too old or too young, or maybe a short tenure in a lot of different jobs, what may be construed as job hopping, even though most of the time it's not your fault at all. Here's what I recommend on those. The first thing you got to do is get yourself a skills-based or functional resume, because a functional resume is going to minimize those liabilities, and especially just showing the last 10 or 15 years, it's going to minimize the age liability because they're not going to know how old you are. You definitely do not want to put everything that you've done and everywhere that you've been all the way back to the 70s or the 80s, and I see that quite frequently. I really wouldn't detail back anything before probably 1998 or maybe 1995. Something else that you can do, and I've mentioned it before in one of my other videos, is the ARTS method of overcoming objections. So, for instance, if you don't have industry experience, you can ask them this 4-part series of questions, which would be, well, the first thing is you acknowledge their concern. So let's stop on that one. I don't want to say that. So the second thing that you can do is something that I've mentioned before and detailed out before, called the ARTS method of overcoming objections. And that was in a prior video. Go ahead and look at the prior video for the ARTS method of overcoming objections. You can use that ARTS method to handle anything, any objection that they might have, such as long-term unemployment or no industry experience or job hopping. Something else too that sometimes you just have to do when you have a lot of liabilities, and honestly, once you get to age 50, and I'm not saying that age 50 is a liability, but once you get to age 50, there are very few people out there that don't have some kind of liability out there. And so there's always something that you have to overcome. Everybody has their own liabilities. But what you have to do is just a more aggressive search. And so if you have a large number of liabilities, you just have to be more aggressive in your search. And what that means is that if you're unemployed, instead of sending out 50 resumes, I might ask you to send out 60 or 65 resumes a week. And I know that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but you can get that number out. It just means you have to put more hours into it. Okay, so a more aggressive search usually overcomes just about any liability that you have. All right, next to last. So how do I find a job fast if I'm working full-time and I don't have a lot of time to conduct a search? Let me share with you a productivity tool that I like to call Power Hour. I didn't actually make this up. Power Hours have been around for quite a while, but they're very effective in being highly productive. If you don't have many hours to spend searching, what you can do is squeeze the most productivity out of the hours that you do have searching. A Power Hour means that you set up your environment so that you're not distracted at all. Let's say, for instance, you have a goal of getting out 12 resumes for an hour. You set a timer for 50 minutes. You take a 10-minute break at the end of that 50 minutes, but you set a timer for 50 minutes and You turn off your cell phone. You let your loved ones know that you're not going to be available for the next hour, and you stay away from email. Close down your email, turn off your cell phone, and you are sitting at a table with no distractions. You've got yourself something to drink, and you're sitting there for an hour until you get it done. And if you do that for 1 hour a day, you will get a tremendous amount of productivity. I know people that work 60 hours a week that once they start instilling power hours, and they do 5 to 8 power hours a week, and that includes maybe 2 or 3 of them each weekend day, you can get, I've seen 40, 50 resumes out a week for somebody who works 50, 60 hours a week. So you can really be highly productive with power hours, but do set that timer. That's really important, and give yourself a 10-minute break. What I would recommend is if it's not too hot or not too cold outside, go outside and enjoy some fresh air for a little bit, and then come back in. Change your environment up a little bit, and then come back in for another power hour. It's amazing what you can get done with power hours. And finally, I do get this quite a bit, so I just want to tell you about it. How does Career Resume Consulting help? So what do we do? Until now, I've worked individually with people, and I still do work individually with people. I work as a career strategist, a job search coach, a resume writer, an all-around expert, and so I do have a program that has 5 modules with it over the course of 10 weeks, and I work very closely one-on-one, write a resume, and go through a full search with people, or I just write resumes for people who just need resumes. But I now have, and I'm introducing it now, a Six-Figure Pro online coaching program that's going to allow me to serve so many more people and allow me to get the word out to a lot more people at a lower price point than what I've been able to do before. And it covers all 5 modules, everything that I give my one-on-one coaching clients that pay thousands of dollars. And this is going to be just a fraction of that price, and it covers all 5 modules that I cover in my one-on-one, but also an additional module on how to build your own resume. So it covers how to build a rock star resume step by step. It covers how to put together a robust LinkedIn profile, how to find the right people within the right companies to send your resume to, how to network to expand your reach, and how to network effectively for a 6-figure position or really any professional position, how to interview like an expert and really become the prize in the room, and then how to negotiate a package that's right for you. And most of my negotiation techniques allow for anywhere from 15 to 25% increase from what they originally offer you. I can't guarantee that that's going to be what you get, but because everybody has a different situation and different companies are different. But that's been the average for my clients, is 15 to 25%. But I've been able to get some people 50 to 100% more than what they were originally offered. And so I want to introduce this to you in the next few days, and I'll be sending an email out to you and give you access to some more information. And that really concludes the presentation and the training, and I really hope this has helped you out today. And this is the end of the 3rd video. So if you'd like more information about getting into a much deeper level of the 6 different modules, I invite you to take a look at my next video that I'll be releasing in a few days, and it'll give you a lot more information. So until then, I hope this has helped, and I'm Tammy Cabell with Career Resume Consulting, and I hope that you find a position that you can enjoy, that you're excited to go to work to every morning, that pays you what you're worth, and still allows you for time to do what's important. All right, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. And feel free to, like before, feel free to put all of your comments and questions below, and I'd be happy to answer those. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye now.